In this lesson, I want you to be able to simplify expressions using the order of operations. Let me make sure you understand what I mean by all of these words. Operations means to add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Simplify means to write in the easiest way. Expressions are terms separated by an operation. And order just means what do I do first, what do I do second, and so on. So I want you to be able to simplify expressions using the order of operations. In other words, by looking at the expression and deciding which operation should be done first, which operation should be done second, and so on. Why is this necessary? Well, notice on the left here, someone might look at this expression and decide to add the 2 and the 5 and get 7, and then multiply by 3 and get 21. On the right, someone else might say, I'm going to multiply the 5 times the 3 first and get 15, and then add the 2. So notice I have two expressions that look exactly alike, and I've done all the calculations correctly, yet I've come up with two different answers because I did the operations in a different order. So somewhere along the line, someone had to say, okay, let's all make sure that we use the same order, that we do the same operations in the same order, so we always get the same answer, so that confusion doesn't result. Therefore, we have an order of operations that tells us to multiply before we add, so the one on the right is the correct way. This is the order of operations. The order of operations says, first, look at your expression and see if there are any parentheses or grouping symbols. Do any operation inside of those first. For example, here I see the operations of addition and multiplication. I'm going to do the addition first because it's in parentheses. So I'll bring down the 4 because I'm not using it, and then I'll go ahead and add 2 and 6, and so my final answer will be 32. So you do the operation inside parentheses first. Now please understand, when I say do the operation inside parentheses first, please understand which parentheses I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a problem such as you see here. This has parentheses in it, but please notice that there's no operation inside the parentheses. There is a number in front of the parentheses and no operational symbol, so I know that means multiplication. But when I say do parentheses first here, I'm not talking about this kind of parentheses because there's no operation inside the parentheses. There's only one number. So there has to be an operation inside the parentheses. Secondly, you do exponents. So in this expression, I would do the exponent before I would add. So I'm going to bring down the 5 plus because I'm not going to use it. I'm going to do the exponent first. And of course, 2 to the third power, or 2 cubed, means 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. So last of all, I'm going to add. Thirdly, you do multiplication and division from left to right. Now, notice that I've written the word multiplication first, but you do not multiply before you divide. You do not divide before you multiply. Multiplication and division are equal. So which one do I do first? You do which one comes first, from left to right. So in this expression, I'm going to divide first simply because it comes first before the multiplication. So I'm going to bring down everything I'm not using, and then I'm going to bring down the answer to 100 divided by 4. Now I'm going to multiply before I add. So I'm going to bring down what I'm not using and multiply. And then last of all, I will add. Fourth, you do addition or subtraction. Again, addition is not more important than subtraction. Subtraction is not more important than addition. So you do which one comes first, from left to right. For example, in this problem, I'm going to subtract first simply because the subtraction comes first on the left. If the addition came first on the left, I would add first. So here I'm going to bring down the plus 2 because I've decided that I'm going to do the subtraction first. So I'm going to bring down what I'm not using. Then I'm going to say 16 minus 4, and last of all, I will add. So anytime you have an expression that you have to simplify, you need to be sure to simplify or to do the operations in the correct order. Look for parentheses first, then exponents, then multiplication and division from left to right, and last of all, addition and subtraction from left to right. To help you remember the order of operations, you can remember the sentence, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally," where P reminds you of parentheses, E of exponents, my dear or MD of multiplication division, and AS reminds you of addition subtraction. So again, notice parentheses is written above exponents because you always do what's in parentheses before you do exponents. You always do exponents before you multiply or divide. Multiplication and division are equal, so you do whichever one comes first on the left. But you always multiply or divide before you add or subtract. You do not add before you subtract. They are equal, so you do whichever one comes first on the left. Here's an example. Looking at this expression, notice I've written, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally," here on the right. I'm going to look for parentheses first. Notice that I do have some parentheses. There is an operation inside the parentheses, so I'm going to do that first. So bring down what you're not using. Determine which operation you're going to do first. Bring down everything just like it is that you're not using. Then, instead of bringing down 3 plus 5, bring down the answer to 3 plus 5. Once you simplify what's inside parentheses, you no longer need the parentheses unless you need them to show multiplication. Here I have a dot, so I don't need to keep the parentheses. Now I've done the parentheses. Now I look for exponents, and I decide I'm going to do exponents next. So bring down everything you're not using. Notice I brought down everything just like it was except the 4 squared, or the 4 to the second power. Instead of bringing it down, I bring the answer down. And 4 to the second power means 4 times 4. Please don't make the mistake of saying it's 4 times 2. It means 4 times 4. Okay? Then I look for multiplication and division. Notice I've got both in this problem. Which one do I do first? Whichever one comes first as you start through on the left. So here I'm going to do the division first. Therefore, I'm going to bring down everything I'm not using. Instead of bringing down 16 divided by 8, I bring down the answer to 16 divided by 8. Now I still need to do the multiplication, so I'm going to bring down everything I'm not using and then bring down the answer to 2 times 8. Last of all, I will add or subtract. So my final answer is 18.